All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, I'm in costume. Yeah, I am in costume. No, I like to look nice. I like to dress up. And so I want to welcome everyone. Today is February 28th, 2024. We're getting toward the end of the month. We got an extra day because it is, in fact, leap year. So we have an extra day tomorrow. So shout out to all those people born on leap year tomorrow. The leap babies, salute to you. I know a couple of you out there. So happy early birthday to you. Now, again, today is February 28th, and you see the topic. Where I'm at is we're coming up right on the cusp of spring, winter. So sometimes it'll be warm, sometimes be a little bit cool. So I like this fragrance right here. This fragrance is Bond Number 9 New York Amber. Now, this is an amber fragrance, good for cooler weather. Um, It's a little strong, so don't necessarily have to put a lot of it on, but it has a lot of staying power. And so where can you wear this type of fragrance? You can wear this, excuse me, to you can even do networking. You can potentially do date night because it's kind of a sweet, a connected, not really sexy, but it does have that sex appeal to it. But it will draw people in. And so it's good at getting individuals to talk to you, have conversation with you. When I'm wearing this at conferences and other events, people always ask me, what are you wearing? I want to get that for my spouse. I need to get that in my life. So you definitely want to check this out. Bond number 9, New York Amber. So shout out to the individuals in the chat. I see a couple people that I do know. Welcome to the Linus. Also, Miss Boosie. Always good to have you here. Welcome again. But yeah, we're gonna get right into it. As I said, I'm iamerichall, your success concierge, and what I do is I provide confidence on demand. And what I do is I help individuals and businesses confidently and efficiently achieve their outcomes by mastering and using to their advantage the ABCDs of image, saving yourself stress, time, energy, and money. Because what's worse than staying the same or even regressing? So I help you prevent all of that, and that's why I work with other individuals in that particular space. And so we see the topic of the day, your thoughts drive your behavior. Now, when we talk about image, we talk about the 4 main components: the appearance, the behavior, the communication, and the digital footprint. Those are the ABCDs, and I got an S coming for you, so stay tuned for that as well too. And we can even kind of touch on that as well. And so people ask, does your image change over time? And I say absolutely, as well it should. Even if your appearance doesn't necessarily change, your behavior should change. And why should your behavior change? Because you learn new information, you learn new things, and your thoughts drive your behavior. So let me say that again: your thoughts drive your behavior. Let me give you a perfect example of this, right? And so we've all had instances where we've sat in a chair, and we may sit in a chair and we believe that the chair will hold us. So we sit, we relax, we may kick our feet up, we do all these different things. All right. Well, if you don't believe the chair is going to hold you, what are you going to do? You're going to put one foot down. You're going to be operating and moving a little bit differently. Why? Because your belief changed how you behave. And that's the same thing that's true with image. And so thoughts drive behavior. And so your behavior can change over time as well as your thoughts. And we talk about image and the appearance, and a lot of people focus on that, but your behavior is probably one of the main factors that's going to drive your overall image for yourself as well as your brand. And if you have a business, it's going to do the same for that as well too, because most communication is nonverbal, and then your behavior drives a lot of those other different areas. And the key to all of this is to be in congruence. Now, we're going to get into the topic a little bit tonight. We see a lot of individuals who may or may not be in congruence, and that's why you want to have your appearance in congruence with your behavior, your communication, and your digital footprint. And so that's why I'm excited to do this topic that we have today. Like I said, I am in costume a little bit. Got the black suit and tie. I was very tempted to wear a bow tie in honor of the individual that we're doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Give me 1 second here. Pull this up, and I'll also get your questions and thoughts ready because we're gonna get into this. All right, so let me share here, and we're gonna go ahead and kick this off. All right. All right, so what we got today? We got thought drive behavior, a case study on Malcolm X, and today's date is February 28th, 2024. Now, this is one, and again, he has good taste in glasses, as do I. This is an interesting case study, and I'm very excited to do this study. All right, so a couple of things. So we are in Black History Month, or the last events of that, and I don't necessarily get into those type of things per se when I'm doing the things that I'm doing, but I want to look at different individuals who've had impact on myself, on impact on society, and also has information and things that can be utilized to learn, grow, and improve our station in life. Now, the autobiography of Malcolm X is a book that it was probably the first adult book I read. And I read this book at 11 or 12 years old. And so even at that time as a youth, it had a great impact on my life. And that's why I'm excited to do this case study. So one of the things I want to look at and focus on is um, as his thoughts changed over time, his behavior changed over time as well too, slightly or ever so slightly, about how he moved and how he operated. So we're going to see how it does at different stages in life. And so this is a lesson that you can take on as you learn more information and be diligent about learning information, how you will evolve and your image and your thought process affecting your behavior will evolve as well too. So again, we got thoughts drive behavior, a case study on Malcolm X. I am Eric, your success concierge, and let's get started. All right, so y'all know how I do, right? So if I find, and I was excited to be able to find pictures, all right, because again, this is in a time frame where not everyone had cameras, such and so forth. But if there's youthful pictures out there, I'm gonna find them. All right. So he was born in Omaha, Nebraska, fourth of seven children. And so his mother, she was from Grenada and she was very, very fair skinned. And that kind of bothered Malcolm a little bit as a youth because, um, you know, in that particular time, he felt like because of, I guess, how colonialism affected the people, that's how he got his light skin. And so that kind of bothered him as well, too. But his father was also a Baptist preacher and his parents were Pan-Africanists. And so what does that mean? They were in the movement of going back to Africa, following Marcus Garvey, those type of teaching, those individuals who were very much into Afrocentrism. And it's interesting to see how even as a youth, he was already being molded, shaped, and his mind was moving in that particular direction. All right. So and this is what I want to talk about. Like when I talk about the belief system, we're going to go into some of his youth early influences. And so racism was something that he experienced at a very, very young age. He lived in a time where, the Klan was very prominent, and in certain areas they were able to enact violence, whether that's actual murder, whether that's intimidation, destruction of property. And so in his mind, white violence killed four of his uncles, which is his father's brothers. The Klan had threatened his family many times, mainly because his father was a preacher and they called him, quote unquote, a troublemaker. All right. And so after that, they moved up north from Omaha, Nebraska to get a better life and then, or get away from some of those instances. But then his father was killed in a streetcar incident. They ruled it a suicide, but again, it had a lot of crazy circumstances in that how could he bash himself in the back of the head and then lay on the train tracks? But those were things that influenced him as a youth. And additionally, the insurance company didn't want to pay the money, so they gave him pennies or didn't give them the type of settlement that they felt that they should have gotten, and they had to go through a major fight through that. And so his mother and his brother were later baptized Seventh-day Adventists, and he said in that instance, those were the nicest white people he had ever met. And so let's go a little bit forward to his youth and adolescence as well too. So his mom was dating a guy. They thought he may marry her. She got pregnant. He left, and after that, she had a nervous breakdown. And so as a result of that, she was committed to Kalamazoo. This is in Michigan, Kalamazoo State Hospital, and she was there for 24 years. But the thing is, when he was a youth, she was there. The family got separated, and then as adults, which was 24 years after that time, that's when he and his siblings went to go ahead and get her out of that situation. Now, the siblings were separated. They went to various foster homes. But at that time, Malcolm Little, that was his surname at the time, he was did very well in school, and he wanted to be a lawyer. He wanted to practice law. But there was someone who was a teacher and who discouraged him. He said, that's not a good profession for N-word, because I'm going to keep it politically correct here. But he said that's not a good profession for N-word. You can't do that. Why don't you be a carpenter or electrician? And so that kind of started shaping Malcolm's mind that no matter how talented you were, no matter how smart you were, there was no place in, quote, the white world for someone career oriented. And so he started going into his out of control phase. All right. So he lived a fast life, Roxbury in Boston, railroad in Harlem. And then he started engaging in some various activities, pimping, gambling, drugs, theft. It's fascinating how he always, or not always, but he was able to be around individuals of influence. So this is a picture of him and Red Fox, or John Elroy Sanford. That's his original name. And so Red Fox, he was called Chicago Red, and Malcolm was called known as Detroit Red. And so they were very, very good friends from their early days in Harlem. And so one of the things, he was drafted, or supposed to be drafted, into the military. And so he faked crazy to avoid the draft. He's like, yeah, go ahead, let me in so I can take these guns and give them to people and kill other folks, right? And so he used that, and they're like, no, we can't have him in here. So he used that to avoid getting drafted into the military, because they ruled him as crazy for some of the things that he said. But, all those different types of activities, the fast life that he was living, he got arrested for burglary and was sentenced to 8 to 10 years. Now, when we talk about his belief system at that time, he was out of control. He didn't see really much of a future for himself outside of being a con man, being a thief, being a hustler. That's what his thought process was, and that's what his behavior was like. All right. So then he went to prison, and he was introduced to the Nation of Islam. All right. So these are his photos right here. And so in prison, he developed an appetite for reading. And so one of his brothers said, "Hey, because if you know anything about Islam, they're against smoking, they're against eating pork." And so one of his brothers was saying, "Hey, if you stop eating pork and smoking, you can get out of prison." So he stopped almost cold turkey. So he was first introduced to Islam, introduced to reading, because he had time on his hand. The popular story about him copying out the dictionary, reading books on religion, law, a whole variety of topics. And so they called him Satan in prison, because he was always challenging the status quo from the chaplain about Christianity. And then, interesting enough, at that time he declared himself a communist. And so he first got on the FBI's radar when he was in prison, because he was against the Korean War. And he wrote a letter to Harry Truman. For those who don't know, he was president of the U.S. at that time, and he wrote a letter to him, voicing his opinion. So that's first how he got on the FBI's radar. And so after he was released from prison, he was paroled in 1952. And this is him with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All right. And so one thing I want you to see is he was always well groomed. Now, Malcolm was a very debonair, charismatic guy. He was 6'4". But when you saw how he carried himself when he was pimping and doing drugs and doing those types of things, he wanted to be a clean cut person. So always well groomed. So whenever you saw him appearing in public, he was always well dressed, because he wanted to put the image of someone who was a law-abiding citizen, someone who was intelligent, someone who had thoughts that were worth hearing, as well as someone who was knowledgeable as well too. So that's one of the major changes that you see right there. And again, that's him with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so based on him believing that Elijah Muhammad and Islam saved his life, he went all in with that, even willing to lay down his life for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he would always, when he would do his speeches, he would always say, "The Honorable Elijah teaches or preaches such and so forth." So that was that aspect there. And then he started growing notoriety. He was representing the Nation of Islam on TV and media. He was even invited to the United Nations General Assembly. He met Fidel Castro, who also invited him to Cuba. And then a popular story is the Hilton Johnson incident. If you read the book, which I did, and there's also an adaptation in the Spike Lee movie, Well, essentially, Hilton Johnson was a member of the Nation of Islam. He was with two other individuals. Um, they witnessed another African American getting beat up by the police. They said, "This is not Mississippi, this is New York or up north," and they beat him up pretty badly and were denying him his ability to see a doctor, get medical attention, and he had brain issues, just severe injuries. So he went down to the police station, arranged bail, and during that time, the Nation of Islam, they had about a couple thousand people gathered outside. And this is where the people saw, okay, they're serious, they mean business. He was leading them. And once he was satisfied with him being able to get attention, he left. He gave a hand signal, the people left. And that was something that really intimidated or put people on notice about his influence as well as his impact. And he continued doing the Nation of Islam teachers. I love these things. And some of these were very controversial. He talked about black people being the original people, that the white people were devils, and he was quick to let them know that. That was his belief. He was also, fascinatingly enough, he was anti-politics, and because that was based on the Nation of Islam. So the Nation of Islam did not want individuals, specifically black individuals, voting, getting involved in politics, which is an interesting approach for some impact, as well as this was a time when integration was occurring in various spaces, but the Nation of Islam was against integration. He had issues with Martin Luther King, called him a chump, called him all types of different names because he felt like Martin Luther King had a soft approach of begging and trying to get a seat at the table versus creating your own space. And again, return to Africa. That was some of the things he had learned even as a young man. He was still doing those, had that thought process as well too. And so he did very, very well here. You see him with the young, at this time, Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali. But he inspired him to join the Nation of Islam. He mentored Louis Farrakhan, who we know now today is the leader of the Nation of Islam. And even at the time, the Nation of Islam was around 1,200, and he grew that to between 50 and 100,000. And he would go to events and have 25,000 plus individuals there. And then he also mentored Wallace Muhammad, who was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's son. And they had he had conflicts with his dad. Wallace did, in that he had a differing of opinion, and so sometimes he would share that with Brother Malcolm as well too, and he would go back and forth, like he would get kicked out, reinstated, kicked out, all those different types of things as well too. All right, so now this is the next phase of this, where he became independent from the Nation of Islam. All right, and so he began to reevaluate his relationship in the early 1960s. A couple of things that led to that was some issues of Elijah Muhammad having some children outside of the nature of his marriage, some of the other accusations that he had. So it made him think differently. And so he moved differently. And so he made some controversial comments about when President Kennedy was killed. That's the famous "the chicken come home to roost" and speech. And then he officially left the Nation of Islam in 1964. So post Nation of Islam, you see here, he briefly met Martin Luther King here. He went to Mecca, which really changed his life, as well as some other parts of Africa. He founded Muslim Mosque Intelligence, and then he was getting people to vote. He wanted blacks to be politically active, and that was his speech, the bullet or the ballot box. And again, he went through Mecca, and then his black nationalism, because before his time, he was, I guess, did not want to work with and connect with other races of individuals. But when he went to Mecca, he saw Muslims worshiping the same God, believing the same thing, practicing the same way that he was, even though they did not look like him. They looked like other nationalities of people. And then some of the people who were fighting for liberation in Africa, they were not people who look like him as well too. So he was more open to working with other individuals, and he was speaking and connecting with individuals all over the world. But he was still controversial. Gave some tough speeches in France, and he went traveled, and they wouldn't let him back in. And as a result of that, he was threatened with death threats, assassination as well too. So this is his family life. Met Betty in '65, and they didn't allow to date one-on-one at that time, so they always do group events. So he proposed to her over the phone, and they had 6 children, and they were married until death. So you see here him with the family and with Muhammad Ali then as well too. So yeah, that is my case study on Malcolm X. Um, like, comment, subscribe, and we can go into the question phase. I really enjoyed doing this particular study. I wanted to give you some information about that, but also too, I didn't want to give you everything. I wanted you to be able to go and look up and learn a couple different things about this, not just what you have seen, heard in the mainstream media, or what you have done as well too. So I see young investor here. Salute to you as well too. Salute to you. And we're gonna have let's see here. We're gonna have the call in portion. If you want to come jump on the panel, or if you have questions as well too, you can put those into the chat here. Young investor, I don't know if we've connected in a while, but if you I know if you want to come up on the panel, you're welcome to do that. And you're welcome, anybody is also welcome to ask any questions right here. But yeah, I was as a youth, I was very much influenced by the autobiography of Malcolm X. I will say Spike Lee probably did a very, very good job. A lot of things that was missing or not in there, but it was pretty much accurate as well too. Couple lessons that I learned myself from reading and studying that, which have really stuck with me even to this day, is knowledge, and not just knowledge in the sense that some people will watch this or watch that. Very much self-study and going back to the source. Don't just look at the article, look at the documents the article came from. And so that was something that was very, very thorough and stood out a lot to me in my time. And then secondly, discipline, man, discipline. That's not something that's really evident, but the culture of Islam is very disciplined in how they behave, how they conduct themselves, and how they act. And just on a side note as well, too, when Malcolm X left, he converted to Sunni Islam, away from some of the teachings of the Nation of Islam as well, too. And there were some other individuals as well, too. Maybe I'll do a case study on them. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Let's go to the chat. Let's go to the chat. Let's go to the chat. Do we have any questions? Let me see here. And thank you. Shout out to Denise Mobley for tuning in. Always good to have individuals in the building. So let's see what kind of questions we have here. Let's go here. Let's see what we got here. And they can be about business. They could be about the case study. They could be about a number of different things. I got a variety of information and ways that I can assist, add value to the things that you do, just to make it a lot easier for you. Take that stress out, save you that money, save you that those things that are keeping you from doing the things that you want to do. But let's see what question that we have here. All right, so okay, all right. So let me do this. And young investor, I got you. I'll come to you next. All right. So, do you recommend services that send you clothes on a monthly basis? And my answer is no. And there's a reason for that. I've looked at some of those services, and what I see from some of those services is they may have affiliations with certain groups. They ask you a brief questionnaire. And I've seen some of the questionnaires, and like when I work with an individual or I work with someone, it they don't ask the most in-depth type of questions. They just say, "Oh, do you like this? Do you like that?" And then they send you random things, right? Some of it will fit, some of it may not fit. Now, again, it may help you try out things that you wouldn't normally normally try, and you may determine that you like certain things, but it's a lot of hit or miss, a whole bunch of hit or miss. And then you have to go through the issue or the challenge of sending it back or not liking it or not fitting. And so, in my opinion, you're better off working with the image consultant or stylist who could tell you what to buy, but also what not to buy. And then your time is spent focusing on getting the things that are going to be suitable to you versus trial and error and not getting those types of things done. All right, so let's see here. We got young investor. Any recommendations on finding wool suits? Now, young investor, like, so I got a couple questions for you now. As far as wool suits, are you talking about custom made or off the rack? Because again, those are two different things. So if you're trying to go off the rack, um, because you and I have worked together, so um, uh, you may, because based on your size and whatnot, you may be able to find certain things. But the reason why I say some of that is hit or miss is because you don't know what's going to be at which store, where they're going to have it. And even though the picture, and I have challenges with this as well too, even though the picture may look a certain way, the fabric swatch there may be some variation to the color. So that's always a challenge outside of going to a specific place and getting that done. Now, for basics, yeah, you may can do that. But if we're talking about wool suits that's custom to you, you know what I recommend? I recommend getting with someone who can make it. And they have various levels from places like your Suit Supply, which I shouldn't have mentioned because they don't pay me. But you have places like that in other locations where you can get made to measure or ready made to measure, and so they'll do measurements and make slight adjustments to what you already have. And the issue is they will have some things in season and fashion of like that. Now if you want something truly unique, then you get with a tailor who has a swatch book, and then you pick out the various swatches from that. Now I haven't gotten, because I've seen different suits of various prices, and I haven't. I wonder like how much difference when you get to a certain level, like how much actual added benefit are you getting for price? And so that's something that I definitely want to look at and explore because I know there are some suits that are made 100% by hand, and those suits cost $10,000. Now I may splurge one day and get that, but how much extra benefit am I getting beyond that? And so, far as selecting a suit, if I'm going to a place in person, I think young investor, I think you said you're in Houston. And so Houston is a little bit warmer and a little bit more humid, but I know you travel internationally as well too. So what I would be doing is like 100s, 120s. Those would suit you well because they'll be durable, they'll be breathable, and they'll be very, very cost effective. Now, if you want to splurge a little bit and get something silky, yeah, that might be the 140s and the 160s. But again, that's just gonna so you moving to the East Coast. Okay. So yeah, so you're gonna want something light, breathable, but also too something that will protect you from the elements because on the East Coast, they do have winter times. And so for me, if I were you, I would look at browns, gray, because you also work in finance. So charcoal grays like what I have on now, browns, dark navy. I would keep it like that. And if you're gonna do pinstripe, very, very thin, subtle pinstripes, so you have to be really, really close to see on you. Those are the type of patterns that I would do from a professional standpoint. Now, for you, because you like to have a lot of fun, you like to do some other things, you can be a little bit more creative on that side. And so you can go with a brown or a dark color houndstooth. You can go with a dark burgundy, like those type of colors as well too, because that'll give you a little bit of uniqueness, but it also too it will fit within your style, personality, and you can have a lot of fun with that. Because I know you live a versatile life, and so hopefully that helps as well too. So I don't know exactly when you're moving to the East Coast, but salute to you. I know you're out here doing some amazing things. So congratulations to you and cheers to you on your journey. And so, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. You can, if you have a follow up, you can definitely do that, or you can come jump on the panel. I know it's been a minute since we chatted, but yeah, this is why I like to do this. I like to be able to interact with individuals and answer questions real time that come up. All right. Yeah, most definitely. Salute to you, and we'll chat later. Absolutely. All right, so I did put that in chat. Let's see what other questions do we have here. All right, let's see here. All right, what do you feel about apparel from fashion shows? Well, when you see most fashion shows, it's very interesting, it's very unique, it's very creative, um, but it's not very practical. So it's a lot of those things are things that may not be practical for everyday use. They may not be comfortable, and if you try to sit, stand, do different types of activities, they may fall apart. So I don't really look at fashion show. It's more like fashion shows is almost like an art gallery. It's for you to admire what they do, admire the canvas that they put it on. If it's something that you like and want to take and put on your wall, cool. But that's not something you're gonna do for everyday use. So um, yeah, it's a lot of creativity in that, but I'm not necessarily one who tells people to chase trends and do those type of things. Now, if I were working with a celebrity or someone like that, where they're gonna wear this outfit one time and it doesn't matter if they spend $10,000 or 20,000, never wear it again, that's a whole different type of conversation. But the average layperson, that's not going to be their lifestyle. So they're going to be doing things a little bit more simpler. But yeah, those types of things, they're more so for show and for the benefit of just something visual to look at and just opportunity people get together and connect. I do like going to events though, just because I get to connect with people who uh, they make clothes, and they make clothes for men and women. And sometimes, I may not recommend that particular outfit that they're on display for a specific client, but they may do very well in making dresses, or they may be very well in making other types of outfits. So I may want to commission them for something else. So I always like to go connect with these types of individuals as well too. Let's see what else we got here. All right, how do you feel about some of the activism today? Well, the activism is interesting today. I don't know how much is authentic or not authentic, because I do question a lot of individuals out there in that. And so, one thing I would say that's different today versus in previous generations, when we talk about activism, because I did specifically do Malcolm X. You had guys like Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Kareem, like a lot of different individuals from that time period. One major difference I see is those individuals, they would stand on their square, they would go into hostile environments, and they would go there knowing that they had to stand on their square and defend their position. And so what I see a lot today is people not necessarily being going in hostile environments. They may do something what they call controversial, and I view it more so as antagonistic than controversial. But that's what they do. But they go in and they like to throw a jab, and they act like mosquitoes. They go in, bite, and go away, and don't really stand on their square and stand and defend their position. And so I question how much they know actually about the topic that they're speaking on, how much due diligence and study have they read, versus it seems like a lot is parroted talk or other means. So that's how I feel. I would have to really dig in and look at their actual thought process and what these individuals say and believe, and how they're acting and living their life. Because remember, it's not just the communication, it's the behavior. So you got a lot of people who talk one thing, but their behavior is something different. And as an image consultant, I pay attention to all those types of things. So um, unless someone has someone specific that I would talk about, um, that's all I got. All right. All right. So let's see what other type of questions that we have. As a legal professional, should I work with an image consultant? Yes, 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 and yes. Man, that a legal, like, I would love to work with lawyers for a couple reasons, right? So lawyers, they have to do, they have various roles that they play when they're doing what they do, right? They could be trying to get people to like them and trust them. They could be playing good cop, bad cop, a good lawyer, bad lawyer, where they want to intimidate and antagonize. Those are, and then just various images that they have when they're talking and interacting with people, because you have to be able to influence people to your ideas, your thoughts, those type of things. The other thing is you got clients, right? And sometimes your clients may have to testify. And so I'd love to help them, put them in the best light so they can get, some of the outcomes that you want to get from them, as well as then jury selection. You got to be able to read and understand people feedback, the body languages that they do. So I would love to do that. I mean, we got a couple cases going on, or quite a few cases going on in various parts of the country right now, involving legal practices, legal information, legal people. And it's a lot of shenanigans going on in that particular space. And so they can definitely use the services of a success concierge, where, um, you know, a lot of it they deal with mechanics, but I deal with like the psychology of it, the thought process of it, how people are perceiving it, and is the message that you want to send, is that the message that is getting out there on that. So yeah, legal profession, absolutely, right? Because again, little changes make a big difference in, okay, do you get the settlement do you want? Do you get is your client viewed as credible? Do the jury find your story, your story, your what you're speaking on compelling? All those little things matter. And then also too, how do you, even before you get to that, if you're looking at potential clients, do they feel like you can do the job? Do you look like you have, or does your image align with what they view a lawyer should be? And all those things matter, right? And so uh a lot of individuals know law, because they all, take tests and study and go through that process. But how do they present themselves, whether it's verbally and appearance wise, night and day. So yeah, that is something definitely on tap. I would love to work with some legal individuals on that, whether it's them specifically, whether it's their business, or also too clients that they may work with as well too. All right, so let's see what else we got here. All right, so what are some tools that I can use to improve my thoughts and impact behavior? Well, again, so as I stated earlier, thoughts drive your behavior, and we talked specifically about how if you feel comfortable or confident in a chair or something that you're sitting on, you're going to sit there a lot differently versus someone or something that you don't feel comfortable or confident in. All right, and so how do you improve your thoughts? Okay, as I always say, what is the outcome that you want to have? All right, and let's just say you want to be someone who's fit and healthy. So that's the outcome that you want to have. So what does someone who is fit and healthy have to think and believe, right? They might believe that, okay, one, I can get that done. And so you focus on that. One, I know exactly what I need to do, or I can seek out the individuals that can provide me the information. And that's how I focus on those type of thoughts. And then I create a plan of action that makes me confident. I track it, I measure it, and then I can make adjustments in that. So those are just examples of that. But the main thing that controls thoughts is your physiology, how you move, how you are, because you may be like, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, but you're down. So how you change your body, how you physiologically are, right? That's going to help improve your thought process, because it's hard to be smiling and happy like this and depressed, right? Or energetic and pumped up and depressed. So changing your physiology. The other thing is your beliefs, which we talked about, is what do you have to think about? What do you have to believe to achieve, act, or behave in a certain manner? And then the type of language that you use, you're reinforcing that with the language that is in alignment with that. So appearance, your physiology, your belief, and your communication. All those right there, the ABCD. So even On the behavior side and the thought side, the ABCDs of image, they still apply. And so I like different types of things that add different lessons as well too. So absolutely, I'm gonna put this in here in case anybody wants to come up here or anyone has any additional questions. Let's see what we got here. All right, let's look at this one right here. This is a good one. How do I start to promote and build my business? All right, so we got a lot of individuals, and I see some in the chat as well too, who are business owners or potential business owners, and you have a product or you have a service. So first thing first is, what is the problem that your product or service is going to solve? All right. And then the next thing you want to look at, who are your ideal customers? If you tell me everyone is your customer, then we have a lot of work to do. So we have to identify who your target customers are. If you sell minivans, then who is your target customer for minivans? It could be families. It could be companies that transport people to locations, or it could be people who kidnap people and throw them in the back of the van. All those type of things. I'm joking a little bit, but all those type of individuals would be a potential customer. What's important to each of those customers? What is the problem you're going to solve for them? So the family, you're going to solve their issues, their challenges, right? The business that wants to transport people here or there, they have different types of challenges or pain points that they want to solve. And then people who want to work, do all those other types of things, they have different types of pain points. So you may have three segments of ideal customers who would be ideal for your product or service. And then you want to look at what's important to them. How do they shop? How do I connect with them? Families, they're not going to be at the construction site. They're not going to be at certain places. They're going to be at family events, schools, places that have activities for children, those type of things. So those are how you figure out where your target customers are and how they like to buy. Do they like to buy virtually? Do they like to buy in person? And then once you understand that, then we can create messaging and have conversation on how you can connect and interact with that target market. So that's the approach that I do when I work with clients and I work with individuals. I work with them to get a better understanding of and drill down who exactly is your target market, your ideal client. We don't want customers because customers go, clients stay. Who's your ideal client? How do we attract them? How do we meet them where they're at? How do we solve the issues and challenges and position yourself as a person to do that? And then go and get that done. So that is how if I were starting, and I continue to do this because marketing and building your business never stops. You have companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Toyota, like all the Apple, all these companies have been around more than 20, 30 plus, sometimes even 100 years. But what do they still do? They're still advertising. They're still marketing. They're still branding. They're still putting their name out there to draw individuals to come to their business. So yeah, that's why that part is important. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, and let's see what other questions that we have here. Yeah, we're coming up on 10 minutes to the hour. Um, I always enjoy doing these type of things because I want to make sure that you're getting the best possible outcomes possible, that you're out here winning. You're not wasting money. You're not wasting energy. You're not confused because you don't know how to move forward in your business. You don't know how to move forward and get your career to the next level, get seen, get marketed, or get yourself in the places to be. We want to take all that off the table. We want to put you in position to win, solve that, and make sure that you get the outcomes that you want to get. So let's see what else we have here. All right, would you ever do a case study on a politician? Um, it's possible. I mean, I know, like, I guess this is a conversation that's coming up because we are in a political season, and that's actually someone like politicians is something that I would work with as well too, depending on a number of factors. Because again, there's levels to politics. There's your local all the way up to your national, and to be able to relate to and immobilize people is a talent. It's a skill, and some people do it better than others, as we have seen. But would I do a case study specifically on a politician? That's a tough one, just because it I get I get what they want me to see. And so a lot of politics in general I find to be smoke and mirrors, or you have to really dig to get all of the information, which um, on a personal note, I do dig into that information. But if there's a specific question or a specific individual, I might be willing to discuss it. I know some things are controversial in that, and some of these politicians may want to hire me. So I have to kind of remain neutral in certain areas on that. But I find the field to be interesting in the sense that really part of that is just influencing people to donate, influencing people to vote, influencing people to get other people online with your message, which is a lot of what image consultants and just individuals do. Whether you're doing that for, hey, I want you to vote for me, but you may say, hey, I want you to buy this product. I want you to go on a date with me. I want you to come to this party or come to this event. It's all about influence, and there's a psychology that goes along with that, and it's something that I do enjoy. But far as a specific politician, it would depend. I haven't that's not currently in the plans, but I did think about maybe doing an analysis for because we're in the presidential season. Maybe once the primaries have concluded and we know who the candidates are, uh, Democrat, Republican, third party, such and so forth. I may do something like that, but we'll see. We have a lot of individuals in this space who already do very very well analyzing politics, analyzing people. But I do find the field very very interesting as well too. So that is my take on that. All right. So let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? All right. How'd you become good at being an image consultant? All right, so this is a question I get asked quite frequently. Like, how did I learn certain skills, certain things that I'm good at and doing? And so the first thing I would say is because I was bad at it first, right? One thing that gets me all the time, and it may get you as well too, is those Facebook memories where it show you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, however long you've been on there, and your sense of style, sense of fashion may not be what it is. And so, again, I was someone who was very, very bad at that. I would wear mostly black. Black, well, that would be my accessory of choice with slight variation because I knew it went with everything. Now my palette, my creativity has changed, but I'm able to look at and understand that as well too. And then the other thing is I'm able to recognize patterns, recognize little minute details, which helps me understand individuals. So I was bad at it first. I can recognize that. And I worked in advertising, such and so forth in the past. The other thing is I look at each individual, whether it's a person or a business, and I dig into what their needs are, what's important to them, and I ask the right questions. So the key to success in a lot of areas is asking the right questions, which is going to lead you to the outcomes, thought processes, and those type of things. And then the other thing is I don't take a cookie cutter approach. I don't try to create clones of myself. I don't try to force different things on individuals. I figure out what works for them, and then I enhance that and build upon that to make it better for them. So that's how I got good, and then just practice. I mean, it's just about learning, understanding people, the psychology of things, doing things to enhance your career, enhance your skills. But those are all things that I've done that allowed me to pay attention to details, get good at what I'm doing. And then I'm constantly learning, constantly improving, constantly enhancing my skills. I don't want to just be mediocre. I don't want to be at the level I'm at today. I want to learn, grow every day. And what does that do? That allows me to build other individuals up. It allows me to better solve their problems. It allows me to save them more money, save them more stress, get them in position to achieve their desired outcomes. All these things it allows me to do provide confidence on demand because I keep learning, I keep growing, and I learn from a number of individuals. There's organizations that work with image consultants like myself, where I can get information, I can learn, I can do a lot of different types of things to improve my skills and get better. So that is something there as well too. So um, I really enjoy it, and that's how I learn and get better. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we have any more questions. All right, this looks like a follow up to that question. So, what are some things I should look for in an image consultant or stylist? A couple of things that I just stated in that, and I guess that was a follow up on that. Whether you're working with me, which you should, but if you're working with someone else, that's great as well too. What are some things you should look for in an image consultant and stylist? Someone who is versatile, that they're incongruent with some of the things that you want to do for you, and they customize and tailor their approach specifically to you, and not someone else. And so they're going to be like, okay, Johnny, this is just for you. This is your thoughts. This is your needs. They key in and focus on that. And so if you're working with the image consultant or stylist, they should really be taking time to learn about you, learn about your business, some of your goals, some of your challenges, some of your pain points, and how to address them effectively, and not take a cookie cutter approach. I see, well, it's a lot of influencers out there, and they may be affiliated with brands. They say, oh, you can wear this, you can wear that. And it's cool in that moment, but how do you know that it fits you? And so that's what you want to look at. You want to look at, is what they're doing suitable to you, and can they cater and compromise to cater what they're doing to what you want and what you need, so that you can get some of the outcomes that you want. So those are some things to look at, and you get that just by having a conversation with them. And again, what I was saying is asking the right questions, asking different things, asking probing questions about that. Because people ask, oh, do I just show you a swatch book, or do I just show you pictures of people I want to look like or be like? And they going down that line, and I've had that before when I was first looking for people to work with. That's what they would do, and they have a vision for you, but not necessarily the vision that suits you the most. So you definitely want to look into all that and make sure that is incongruent with you, that is on point, and you confident that they're gonna get you to the outcome that you want to get. So that, let's see what else we got. We coming up on the top of the hour. Let me check the chat here. Um, all right, so looks like we don't have any more questions. I thank everyone for tuning in. I really enjoyed doing this case study on brother Malcolm X. I know, salute to my mother Muslim brothers right here out there. I know that we have Ramadan coming up, all those different, different things coming up shortly. Easter coming up for other religious individuals as well too. So I am grateful and honored to be able to serve you today and provide you some information. But that looks like we will be doing it, because I am Eric Hall, your success concierge, providing you the vision, tools, and opportunity for your desired success. Confidence on demand. Thank you for tuning in. Salute, and we are done.